Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, on your way to the zoo-worthy podcast. Today is Monday, the 9th of August, 2021. Happy Monday, Kristy. How are you?
Happy Monday. I am well. Just want to share that I was able to harvest one of my potatoes from my garden.
Oh, that's exciting.
And something that I found out yesterday is that the potatoes you get from the grocery store are not actually fresh potatoes.
What are
and they taste really differently than potatoes you grow in your yard and eat after you pick them or dig them up. You don't really pick them.
So how did it taste? How did a freshly grown and gathered potato taste?
It really has a different kind of flavor. It has a little bit more earthiness and a little bit more like, it's hard to explain. I mean, I cooked it the way I would normal. So it was like juicier, but like, it was just different. It was just different. And I was like, God, I've never had this doesn't really taste like a potato exactly.
How interesting. All right. Well, I have not committed to growing anything edible yet because I'm still trying to figure out my yard, but maybe fresh, yummy potatoes should be on the list.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not because what happens when you pick a potato for store it and you store it, you have to let it get seasoned where you kind of let it sit in a cool, dark place for 10 days to 2 weeks. And then that firms up the outside and then it makes it more durable for storage.
So that's what the potatoes that we're getting at the market are.
Yeah, all of them. Even the quotes new potatoes or baby potatoes have been cured because otherwise they wouldn't be able to be transported because the skin is so tender and so soft that it peels off with your fingertips.
Wow. Well, so see, we're learning a lot here at the Optimist Daily today. I think I had something interesting to share, but now I can't even remember because I'm just fascinated by this potato knowledge. I think this is super cool. I like it. Okay. Well, do you have anything? Now, for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a very long time, this is an area in Kristy's garden where she previously attempted cilantro unsuccessfully.
Did not work.
Right.
But
right. So what makes the growing conditions better for potatoes in this little area of your garden?
Well, it might also just be the year because maybe there's more sunlight. The trees got trimmed this last winter, so maybe there's not as the foliage isn't quite as shaded as usual. And I've been putting coffee grounds, yard waste, vegetables in this area. I have like a raised bed that's basically just become a compost pile. Right. And that's where the potatoes, I guess the soil had developed enough to support, potatoes.
Support some food life. Well, I am impressed.
They're volunteers. I didn't intentionally plant them. They decided to grow there on themselves. So I feel really honored that the plants decided to take up residence in my backyard. And I'm looking forward to harvesting a whole bunch later on in the season. So I have some to enjoy throughout the fall.
I am super fascinated. And those you will season and allow to, be stored. There is this perpetual debate in my household on whether or not potatoes go in the refrigerator or not. Do you have a stand on that?
I think they should not go in the refrigerator.
Interesting. I am put them in the fridge girl because honestly, the most vile smell on earth to me is actually rotten potatoes. That's really, really tough for me to handle.
I get that. But if you store them properly, they don't get that kind of rotten. And you can go and read our article from, last week about proper food storage.
Right.
Where it recommends that you actually store potatoes in a dark cupboard.
Yes. Interesting.
And without plastic. They need air.
So the plastic bag is definitely an issue, right? Yeah. So you put them in a basket in a dark cupboard.
Put them in a basket in a dark cupboard.
All right.
In a cool, dark cupboard. And you don't want them to be too close to the onions because onions are emitting whatever the pheromones that make things get ripe.
I think we're going to have to ask Amelia to put that particular article in these show notes or link to it somehow so that people can go back, because this is all fascinating, but this is not what's actually on the Optimist Daily today. We have a lot of great headlines today, and great headlines from the past, obviously. If you're an emissary, you can search our whole library of past articles, including copious food storage tips. But today on the Optimist Daily, you and I kind of committed to learning some new things, huh? So
yes, we did.
I will start with my story.
Okay.
Because you can take a moment to sort of readjust from potato talk. Everybody who's ever seen Frozen, there's a song that is like, do you want to build a snowman? Anyway, there's a part of Frozen where they're playing and the little girls ask what sound a giraffe makes. And actually, every time I'm playing with Brennan and we're playing with different animals, you know, like horses say neigh and cows say moo, but you really don't know what sound a giraffe makes. So that is what we will also learn when we talk about this article. But the headline of this article actually is about their socialization. It turns out giraffes are far more socially complex than previously thought. Now, I guess about 10 years ago, up until 10 years ago, researchers didn't really think giraffes had much of a social structure. They just kind of were sort of pack animals without really necessarily having a hierarchy or a system. But it turns out that these mammals are actually more of a matriarchal structure than ever believed before. The team reviewed precisely 404 previous papers on giraffe behavior and found that they could actually be more on par with the complexity of orcas and other intelligent mammals. Now, this is partially because giraffes spend a third of their life post-reproductive. So that post-reproductive time, when they are the grandmothers, right, they are hardwired to help raise the younger generations to ensure the continued survival of the group as a whole. So recognizing that giraffes have this complex cooperative social system and live in matrilineal societies will further our understanding of their behavior, ecology, and conservation needs. I love this. I think it's really interesting. And Kristy, what sound do you think a giraffe makes?
Well, we were listening to them a little bit earlier, and I think we should add that to the audio here.
Yes. All right. So it's kind of like it's like a lowing. It's like a lowing, chortling cow sheep sound. There you go. That is the unexpected sound a giraffe makes while they are in their matrilineal discussions of motherhood and grandmotherhood.
and it's really not a surprise as we learn more about our non-human fellow species on this planet, that this large mammal that lives in social groups actually has a complex social life.
Yes.
I think one of the things this shows is, I mean, we always are being wary of anthropomorphizing animals, right? That's something you hear, and scientists don't like to assume they understand anything about animals. But a lot of times I think we project our human cultures onto animals. And the fact is that we often don't see the complexity because we want to think of animals as something other than us and different.
Right.
And as our understanding of the way that life works and nature works and the sort of raising up of other species besides humans is the only is like the hierarchy master of the universe, which I don't think we are. And I think that there's more of an understanding. We're trying to really understand the complexity of the other species' social lives and other species' existence and appreciate it. And I love this story because it celebrates that.
Yes. Yeah.
Deeper understanding. I mean, if you think about it, the researchers that are studying forests now and understanding that trees actually communicate with each other. Just because we can't hear them doesn't mean they're not actually communicating.
Exactly.
And just because you didn't know what a giraffe sounded like when it talks to its mother doesn't mean it's not talking to its mother or getting scolded by its grandma.
Exactly. Well, there's lots of old wisdom in this world and forgotten wisdom. What's your story embark upon?
I think today's theme of the stories that we've both chosen, it has to be something like things that made you go, and headlines that go, God, that's interesting. I never really thought about that. But the headline that I chose to talk about today reads, this 3,700-year-old tablet is the world's oldest example of applied geometry. And this is something that I just was like, wow, this is like mind-boggling in a certain kind of way. But they've recently discovered a old clay tablet from the Babylonian period dating back to 3,700 years ago. The tablet is known as SI.427, and it dates back to more than 1,000 years before Pythagoras, which, we talk about the Pythagorean theory, which is the right angle of a square, the square root of the one side and the other side equals the hypotenuse, or square root of the hypotenuse. Whatever. I did that.
It's a lot of math, but
a lot of math. Yeah. But the thing is that what this tablet shows is that they were using Pythagorean triples before Pythagoras was born, before he identified that. And it's an example of using math to understand the world. And I guess it's a tablet that talks about a land transaction, and it's in a cuneiform script. It was discovered by Dr. Daniel Mansfield from the University of New South Wales, another professor there, Norman Wildberger. They were seeking these tablets because they had uncovered one that had trigonometric tables a couple years ago, and they were like, wait, they were using math. This is like advanced geometry. And let's find other examples of this from back in the Babylonian era. And so they found one, and it contains 3 Pythagorean triples, 3, 4, 5, 18, 15, 17, and 5, 12, 13, which I guess are, one side times the other side, or the, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not a big math person, but it just is interesting to see how there's ancient wisdom that has been forgotten and then gets rediscovered time and time again.
I read a story on social the other day on, I think, Facebook or something, and it was a researcher talking about when humanity sort of existed, right? Like when in her mind civilization, quote unquote, modern civilization began. And one of the comments was that it was in archaeological research, the healing of a broken bone. And what that indicated is that somebody was actually
taken care of
and then cared for.
Well,
right?
Then does that mean, because there's evidence that dogs may have taken care of each other
and protected each other from from injury. And so I think, between math being much older than we think it is, and between animals protecting each other, humans, healing each other, we have this grand sense of permanence on this earth in a way. This has all been here for a lot longer than any of us in our current moment know and feel.
Right. Definitely. And the thing that is interesting is mathematics. I have some friends who are physicists, and they are really math. They speak math. It's a language I'm not well versed in, but I think according to them, math is it's sort of the language of the universe. It's the language of nature. And it's not like you invent things, you discover them.
Yeah.
And this is an example of using mathematics to address a problem to deal with land. And so it's not like Pythagoras, invented these ideas, these theorems, but rather he uncovered them, he discovered them, or maybe rediscovered them.
Yeah, rediscovered them, or just put his name on it.
Or he just wrote it down, and that's what. And since we don't read cuneiform, and the tablets were lost to posterity, we only get the Greek ones that were writing on papyrus or whatever.
This is a very deep conversation for a Monday morning. Thank you guys. From potatoes to giraffes to Pythagorean theorems. What else do we have? So we have a headline that reads 7 health-related reasons to invest in a vaginal mirror. Poland's air bubble playground keeps air pure with algae. Students invent a device so that a dad with a wheelchair can stroll with his baby. Microbe-based protein could make food production much more sustainable. What else, Kristy?
There's a story about a rail line, rail to refuge, which is providing free travel for those fleeing abusive homes. Sex-specific sports medicine is changing the training game for female athletes, again, recognizing that female bodies are different than male bodies. Priyanka Baira leads the movement to end child marriage in India. We just got it ended in
New Jersey.
New Jersey the other day. Right?
Why is it still in the US? But good that it's working on ending it in India.
And an article about if you've been vaccinated and then you are exposed to COVID-19, what should you do? So now what? So that's another article about the pandemic, which is not yet over, sadly.
It is not yet over, but we are finding new ways to get through it together.
And that's everything today on the Optimist Daily. Those are our main headlines, so go check them out. There are thousands more of other solutions you can search for, including how to store potatoes in your dark cupboard. And thank you so much, everybody, for listening to today's Optimist Daily Update. We love starting our mornings with you guys, and we hope that you enjoy that too. We promise to keep sharing positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in a changing world, ensure it's change for the good for you and for others. And we promise to keep covering current events with accurate, legitimate sources and offering you information that you need for helping to chart new paths for all of us.
Hey, and become an emissary on optimistdaily.com, $5 a month. Hey guys, August is going really well. We have lots of people joining to become emissaries. So clearly there is a movement afoot. Be part of the movement and help us keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can, as we change consciousness and address our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.